I recommend just renting somewhere where there's like an economic, basically a business center, um, somewhere where you're close to the action, so that you could build in those first few years. And statistics show that individuals who make Aliyah with minimal savings within 5 to 7 years are usually able to buy their own home.
Welcome to Returning Home. I'm your host, Natalie Sopinsky, speaking to you live from my home in the southern Hebron Hills in Susia. Joining us today is Jeremy Ohayon, who I found on Facebook. He is involved in real estate, lives in Tel Aviv, and has been here since 2013 helping Olim. He's from Montreal originally. He's 37. He's engaged. Ladies, he's engaged. Hands off, and he's working in sales and deals with Olim and helps Olim navigate the housing market, which is so important. And I am so happy to have you on the show. And I'm so happy you're willing
Very happy
to
to be
share
here.
your information. We have so many people, they just put their hands up and they're like, what do I do?
That's right.
So tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll jump into the hard stuff.
So, like you mentioned, I'm an Oleh. I've been here since 2013. Originally worked in sales in the high-tech sector for many years after my Aliyah. I'm actually a welder by trade, something I didn't pursue here in Israel. And I've been building North Star Realty for the past year approximately, which is a real estate agency based fully on helping Olim Chadashim, expats who have been here for a number of years, helping them navigate the real estate market here in Israel, specifically Tel Aviv in my case.
Okay. Okay. Um, I'm gonna just jump right in.
Sure.
I was speaking to a woman who's going to be making Aliyah, and she was shocked to find out that she needed to provide the landlord with pre-written, pre-dated checks. She was also surprised to find out that she needed a guarantor
Hmm.
on the lease. And I want you to talk to us a little bit about that, because that is something that is not normal for people coming from North America. They are
Absolutely.
run through a credit check, I believe, is generally
Hmm.
what goes on, and that makes it good enough. So all of a sudden, to have someone who's maybe 50 years old come to Israel and have to ask someone to be a guarantor is a burden, to put it lightly. Okay, and then to provide all these checks. Who even uses checks anymore, right? So
Yeah.
comment on that,
We're
please.
used to we're used to direct transfers abroad in
Hmm.
North America, for example. No checks. Well, this is a really common scenario. It's actually not the worst case scenario. You'll see what we call the triple guarantee um, happen a lot in Israel, which is the 12 checks, the guarantors, as well as a bank guarantee that ties up, somewhere in the vicinity of, 3 months, the equivalent of 3 months rent. So that's what's typically asked, and
Mm.
it's insane to have to give that much just to rent an apartment. Yeah, this is pretty typical, especially in Tel Aviv. I'm not sure about in your area or outside of Tel Aviv, but within Tel Aviv, having this triple guarantee is very common. Very important to know that it's negotiable. The only issue there is that if the landlord is able to find somebody who is willing to provide those guarantees, they'll usually prefer that person, and you'll lose the apartment. However, in the individual that you're speaking about, in their case, if they don't have any guarantors and they do have money, which I think you mentioned, they do have a nest egg, they can provide a bank guarantee instead.
Oh,
Um,
so it'll be a double guarantee. The
It'll be a
checks
double
and the bank.
guarantee, and it's
Okay.
not ideal because essentially you have money tied up, that you can't use while that guarantee is in effect. So let's say
Hmm.
the guarantee is for, several months. Let's call it 3 months because that's the maximum they could ask for. You're looking at having that amount of money tied up, which could be 20, 30,000, 40,000 shekel, which isn't
Right.
ideal for everyone.
Right. Um, is there anything here like a security deposit?
There is. You could be asked that as well. Multiple times, just speaking about myself, when I've rented, I was asked to write a check for X amount as a security deposit. Usually, 2 months, the equivalent of 2 months. You'll see that quite a bit as well.
Okay,
Um,
so this is all I think probably very normal for people who rent that part, the security deposit.
it's shocking when you first come from abroad, especially North America. But it's considered completely normal in Tel Aviv, at least.
A security
Um,
deposit is considered shocking?
no, the I'm talking about the triple
Right.
security. The triple
Right.
security is absolutely shocking to
Yes.
anyone coming from North America. A security, if it was a single security deposit, of course not. That's
Right.
required anywhere you're renting. But just the security on top of security on top of security is pretty
Yeah.
out
So
there.
what advice do you have for people who are baffled by it, don't like it, and don't want to deal with it? You said negotiate. Everything's negotiable, which is true in the Middle East.
Everything is negotiable, but you could think about, the period that we're in right now. It's high season in real estate, which is especially difficult in Tel Aviv. If you're looking to lock down a place, I actually just posted about this recently. A lot of people lose basically their dream apartment because someone else is quicker to pull the trigger. So
Hmm.
negotiating these securities could put you in a situation where you'll lose that apartment to someone who's just willing to
Hmm.
put them up front,
Hmm. Right.
which is very, very common. And because there's such a high demand and low supply, people are willing to pull the trigger and pay those securities just to lock down an apartment.
Right. Well, that's all. This is just. I want everyone who's listening to be aware. Jeremy said this at the start, and I just want to reemphasize. He is talking about the Tel Aviv market. Other places where I live, for instance, in the periphery, maybe in the smaller towns, you're not going to have these kind of cut and dry contracts, and you're not going to have landlords who are so difficult or so what do you call it? I don't know, difficult. You're dealing with people, normal Jews, simple Jews, um, and they're sometimes end up being the person who's living in the house, and you're renting an apartment from that house, or they're just a lot easier going.
What do they usually require, Natalie? Just a security deposit and 12 checks?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. So
and
that's very fair, very
right,
reasonable.
right. I honestly don't remember. It's been so long since we rented. I don't remember giving a security deposit. I don't remember that at all. But when
Hmm.
you live in a small place like a yishuv, you actually have to go through something else called a klita uh, vad, a committee, and the committee has to approve you to even live there, to even rent. It's a different
Hmm.
kind of
Right.
humiliation.
That's like a personal vetting, I guess.
They check. Do you have a job? Do you have income? They don't want someone moving here who's going to be a burden to the community.
Of course.
Um, Buying a home. This is tossed about a lot and discussed a lot. There are a lot of new developments popping up all over the place, around Jerusalem, all over.
Yeah,
Cranes. Yeah, the crane is the national bird. Um,
that's right.
yeah. What now? There are a lot of people who they're planning their aliyah. They're planning on buying a home, and I have said time and time again, don't buy. Come and rent. Come and learn the land a little bit. Find out where you're gonna like to live. Don't just come because there's something where your friends are. And I want to hear
Yeah.
your opinion about that.
Well, I definitely agree with you there. First of all, buying a home in in Israel is nothing like buying a home abroad. You need a huge amount of deposit on a mortgage compared to what we're used to in North America, for example. So if you're going to make that commitment, I think it's definitely recommended to rent before. Um, I would try out, different areas. But most importantly, if you're looking to actually own a home in Israel and you're coming from abroad, um, it also depends on the money situation. Like in a situation where there's not so much savings, so on and so forth, I recommend just renting somewhere where there's like an economic, basically a business center, um, somewhere where you're close to the action, so that you could build in those first few years. And statistics show that individuals who make Aliyah with minimal savings within 5 to 7 years are usually able to buy their own home. And that's if they're, on a
Nice.
strict, yeah,
That's great. That
yeah,
is so encouraging. I've never heard a statistic like that.
yeah. And I don't like to be a naysayer when it comes to, or a Debbie Downer, let's say, when it comes to making Aliyah, but it is tough. And there's this saying that I'm sure you must have heard. If you want to make a small fortune in Israel, you have to come with a big fortune.
Right.
So life is expensive here. Coming with a nest egg is definitely the best option if it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then again, you could build a life here pretty much from scratch, come with a little bit of savings, kind of batten down the hatches, work hard for 5 to 7 years, and you can own a little piece of this wonderful land.
Look, we own a big home,
Hmm.
and it was cheaper than our car. You do not need to live where the prices are super high. Now, prices are going up and up everywhere, even where we are. Okay, they are rising. But the sooner you get here, the better chances you have of being able to buy something. It doesn't matter where, and it doesn't matter how big, as long as you own something in Israel. Some
That's right.
people, some people, and you know this, prefer to invest in property before they even come. Do you give guidance on? I want to ask you also, like, what services do you provide? Do you provide help with people who are looking to make Aliyah in the future, but they want to buy something now? Do you do things like that? Tell us what you do.
Definitely, definitely. And I think all the things that we do differently can really help for somebody who's trying to invest from abroad. Um, Basically, up until now, an individual investing from abroad wouldn't get all that much help from either a real estate company or a realtor. Um, they're given the same level of attention as someone who's investing or buying a property here, which is not much. Real estate
Mm.
agents in Israel have a bad rap. There's no two ways about it. They have a bad rap, and I hate to say it, but it's deserved. They just want to open a door, show you a place, and call it a day. And it's the same thing when you're investing from abroad. Very minimal help with all of that. So basically, the approach we take is that there's nothing we won't do to help an individual buy or rent. There's nothing we won't do until they get the key. Even afterwards, we're 100% at their disposal. So if it
Mhm.
means taking 3D videos of an apartment or a home, so that they could really feel what it's like to be in that place while they're abroad, we'll do that. We pay for the equipment to do that. We take any step necessary to just make it as comfortable as possible for somebody
How- Okay,
investing.
that's investing. That's
It's
investing. How about
scary.
people who, want to move here and want to find their perfect landing, this whole soft landing business. They want to find a place to live here and they don't necessarily have the means to buy. Okay. Do you help
Mhm.
them?
Absolutely, absolutely. So We're available for all types of consulting to help them make their decision on where they want to make that soft landing, first of all, which is very important. A lot of people don't know, they know they want to make Aliyah, but they don't know where, they don't know if they want to be in Tel Aviv, they want to be outside of Tel Aviv, what the pros and cons are. So we could go over all of that in depth before making any decisions. Basically, get a really good understanding of what their needs are, not so much what their initial kind of feeling is like, I want to live in Tel Aviv, I want to live in Jerusalem. We really just get an idea of the needs and then guide based on what they need, what their expectations are. We could guide them towards what's, the most appropriate for them.
You say their needs. Now, what does that mean? Because there are people who are one way now in their diaspora home, but
Hmm.
here they're different people and there are different needs. They don't know that yet, but you do because you live here. For instance, there are people who have two cars and five kids and car seats for everybody, and they have their kids in car seats till they're 5 years old, and they have a garden, and they have a green lawn, and they have a lawn service, and they have every child has its own bedroom. You see what I'm saying? They have one level,
Absolutely.
and
Well,
and
that's a
here they
huge
don't. They
thing.
might not. Here they might not need a car, except really once in a while. The kids are going to share a bedroom, and they are going to realize that they actually want to speak English, and they don't want to be stuck in someplace where they can have a big house and a yard, right?
So these are all huge factors, and I think the main thing when consulting with somebody who's still abroad and planning on making their aliyah is setting expectations and managing
Right,
expectations.
right.
Most of the time, almost always, you're going to be making compromises coming here. Even if you're very well off, you're still making compromises coming to Israel. So you really got to dig deep and find out what the core needs are. Like in a family, for example, if schooling is very important, education is very important. There's certain areas that, especially if you want to keep the language, you want to, send your kids to school in English, so on and so forth. You got to keep that in mind. And certain areas provide that, certain areas do not.
Right,
Um,
right.
and you got to
Hmm.
manage the expectations with the cars, for example, the size of home that you're going to get, all those things. It's
Hmm.
really something you got to dig deep and lay out the reality for potential, Olim.
I am surprised at you, your personality, your mild manner. You are slow. I would never ever think that you were a real estate person in Tel Aviv. And how and competitive market. You're so you're so not Israeli. And I think that's a
Well,
compliment. I guess it is. It is. I mean, you said something already that I was just dying when you said it. You said they open the door and show you quickly and then want to have, and that's the day. You did not say they just want to make their money. They just look at you as like, right? They just want to, you're an opportunity. And it's a problem here with Israelis and sales. And they have it's the same problem with fundraisers. They don't understand make a connection, build a relationship.
yeah, and I mean, I don't see the, how they keep people motivated to pay them for their services when their services are literally non-existent. Opening a door and showing someone a place, to me, doesn't justify paying a month's rent. Speaking about rentals, It doesn't justify
Explain
it.
that. Explain that comment when you say paying a month's rent. What does that mean?
So that's the cost of working with an agent. You're paying 1 month's rent plus VAT. Um, and the thing is that usually the way agents will work it out is they will get a listing, and to make it easier, I guess you could say, they will tell the owner that it's the service is at no cost and it'll come from the renter. The fee will come from the renter. So that, I mean, if you ask me, my mind, in all fairness, says that you should be working for the renter.
You are
You
working.
should,
You are working for the renter.
but they
No, the
don't treat
renter
it.
being the wait. The renter is the person who wants to live there.
The person who wants to live there. That's right.
Right. You're his advocate. You're his representative. You're his.
Should be,
Of course, it should
and
be, but it
that's
isn't.
this is where my fascination in real estate came from when I saw how it's done here. And my first few rental experiences were nightmarish, absolutely nightmarish.
Ah,
And
you said you would tell me. Remember, you said you would tell me. So
right.
yeah.
So the first time, which was I mean, the ultimate learning experience, I was fresh off the boat, so to speak, and I was looking for a service made for English speakers or Olim. I was looking for basically the service that I'm offering today. That's what I was looking for. Came across a website. It was all in English, nice pictures, really showing really nice apartments. So I called them up and they decided to take me on a tour of apartments that they had available. These apartments were all decrepit, and I was basically put under the impression that this is what I could get
Mm.
with my budget. And my budget wasn't anything crazy. I was brand new here. I hadn't started working. It was a small budget, but it was a good budget. And I was just made to believe that this is all I could afford, like really tiny, decrepit places that nobody would live in. I'm not exaggerating. And I ended up settling on the least bad of all the ones they showed me. I was desperate for a place. They, took my the fee, the 1 month plus VAT, disappeared into the night, and I find myself with a place that turned out to be an illegal construction. It was the storage unit of a restaurant below that was split into two separate apartments. So it was like a closet space. Um, they made it up pretty nicely. They had just painted, sprayed for roaches before I moved in, and within like a month, everything fell apart. The walls started coming apart with mold, paint peeling, huge cockroach problem, and they just band-aid fixed all these things before I moved in. The landlord was very unreasonable. I mean, you name it, there was every issue you could bump into. Um, so that was my first rental. Really put a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, okay, these people are out to get me, pretty
How
much.
long did you stay there?
How long did I stay there? Probably the better part of a year, I would say.
Ah, okay.
The better part of a year, and
Was questions? I have questions. Okay, questions. Was
yeah,
the building it falling apart all over, and were the neighbors creepy?
the neighbors were creepy. The building was falling apart, but most importantly, it was right above like a chicken rotisserie place, and it always just smelled like a chicken rotisserie place in the apartment. And
And
I'm
they
guessing
made you
that's where
think. I mean, and you really put your faith in them. And
it was essentially the mahsan of this chicken restaurant
oh, I get
that
it.
I was
I got
living
out of a
in.
storage unit. I also had rented an illegal storage unit once, for 300 shekels a month, years ago, 1994.
Mhm.
But you were what? You were 23 years old, 24 years old. Is there
23 on the nose.
okay? So you were really just like starting your adult life here. Because of course I want to ask you of kind of a rude question, but like, how could you be
Sure.
so stupid? Okay, like how could you be so stupid?
The naive Canadian. The naive Canadian thinking, I'm moving to Israel, everyone's, family here. And you
And
know
yeah,
what?
they say this is the
I
best I
don't
can
want
get.
to
This is the best I can get. I mean, come on.
exactly. And they really put me under a spell where they're the ones to go to for, you know,
Right.
English speaking people who are looking to rent. And, we're going to be straight with you. We're also Olim. They basically posed as, what I'm doing now. They made all the promises but didn't deliver.
Were
Uh,
they Olim?
they were, but they
Hmm.
weren't licensed. I found out later. So they
Okay.
weren't. They were just people.
Everyone listening to this program, please um, take note. And this is a hard truth and not a nice truth. But just because someone else is an Oleh doesn't mean they're gonna look out for you. Okay? There are bad people everywhere. There are bad people where I come from, religious bad people in Philadelphia, and there are bad religious people in Susia. There is a Beit Din. Okay? I've had to go to the Rav 3 times with people I've hired, and I've hired Olim.
Hmm.
Okay? Because people have a funny way of doing business, and their idea of the truth is not always your idea of the truth.
That's right. And it's very dog eat dog here, you have to admit, in Israel. Very dog eat dog.
Yeah. And you just
And
have to stay calm and remember you are in charge. I mean, it goes on with everything plumbers, gardeners, buying a car.
for sure. But
Yeah.
for every bad person, there's 10 good ones
Hmm.
in Israel.
You'll
But it's just
find, but
a
you
matter of
gotta,
it's a
yeah.
matter of being vigilant. You got to be careful and you got to do your due diligence. Um, I mean, the first thing you do when working with an agent, you should always ask for the license number,
Okay.
and see the license if you can. That definitely helps. That doesn't
Interesting.
mean that that agent's going to work for you per se, but it's a good starting point.
Interesting.
Just verify credentials.
I've never heard that.
It's a definitely a must. To
Okay, let
anyone
me see
who's
your. So, I mean,
listening,
you say, can I see your
it's a
license
must.
number?
Yeah, right away. First thing you
Hmm.
do.
Hmm. And if they balk and say, "Ma, why? Why would you ask that? Nobody asked that."
Don't work with that person.
Right. All right, thanks. Bye. Right.
Yeah,
It's a
for
problem of North Americans, maybe Europeans also. We're polite, we're kind, we're nice. We give, we want to have a relationship with these people.
sure. We give the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's your horror story. Do you have any more horror stories that you can share that we can all learn from?
Well, basically, they were kind of in that was the worst. The following experience was basically just I started doing well. I had a good job in tech. My budget went up, and I wanted to move out of this place as soon as possible. Of course, once that happened, and I basically fell in love with the place. But it was shown to me for it wasn't even shown to me. The door was opened. Real estate agent opens the door for me, tells me go in, take a look. I fell in love with the place, and then he hits me with the 1 month plus VAT. And I tried to negotiate. I said, this isn't fair. You just opened the door.
Okay, okay, slow down because what does this mean? He hits me with the 1 month VAT. Tell me, like
He's
I'm
like,
a
if
child.
you want to sign on this place, if you're ready to go, because I was ready to go, I was absolutely sold. He's like, you need to sign this document first that stipulates that you need to pay me 1 month plus VAT. And if you add it all up with the necessary securities, it's a lot. It's a lot, and it was kind of um, it was the thing that was holding me back from renting this place was just how much money I would have to put down
How should
initially.
it happen? How should it work with a real estate agent?
I think if a real estate agent, and this is what we base our entire business on, is the real estate agent should work with you for you help you find the place, take care of, basically making sure you understand the contract, translating it into your mother tongue if need be, um, helping you put the bills into your name after the fact, explaining Arnona, um, basically
That's
doing all the paperwork with you. Um, Especially for Olim, it's very strange that you need to put the bills in your own name yourself. A lot of people, who come here don't speak perfect Hebrew, have a hard time navigating the government websites, and they're given no help by the landlord to put the bills in their name, but they're expected to do it. So I think an
oh, that,
agent should help you with that.
that's fine. Wait a second. You told me you were surprised that he hit you with this 1 month's rent. He's an agent. How do people pay agents? How is the normal way of paying an agent here in Israel? What should people listening expect?
Well, you could expect a lot of that, a lot of just being shown a place very, very casually, just open the door, take a look around, and then essentially being strong armed into paying the 1 month
Oh, you
plus.
want it? Pay me a month like this,
Exactly.
right?
Like if you want to sign the contract, you have to sign my contract first. And usually the landlord's nowhere in sight. So you're basically stuck in this situation of,
With the
do I
agent.
do it or
Oh,
not? I'm not
oh,
given a choice.
okay, okay. Because I
You
don't
know,
know. I can't imagine, anybody agreeing to that. You really put in a situation where you feel like you're desperate. So why would you agree to it? Because you are desperate, right?
yeah,
That's why you would agree to it.
yeah. And a lot of the times you're doing all the heavy lifting yourself in order to avoid an agent's fee. And
Meaning heavy lifting, meaning going on the different websites like Yad Shtaim and going to
the
calling these people,
entire
going
search, the
right,
entire search, you're doing all the work an agent should do for you. You're doing
yeah.
yourself. Most people do this to avoid paying an agent's fee, but then lo and behold, there's an agent, working on the
Wow.
property
Oh,
for the owner,
owner.
and you have to pay for, essentially the work that they did for the owner.
You're paying for the work you did and him for showing up and unlocking the door.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and this is
Does
why
this
agents get such
happen?
a bad rap.
Wow.
People
Ugh.
are very skeptical of agents. When we, provide our services or at least offer our services to interested parties, people who are asking us how we could help, you could sense that there's a lot of skepticism there. And it's because of the
Yeah.
experiences that they've had. I would be skeptical too.
All right. So tell us a little bit what you do a little more. So people listening will turn to you and avoid all the work of going to these second hand sites and these property management places. What do you offer that they don't?
So we first of all, I mean, the main thing is that we'll do anything required by our clients. Like no ask is too big or too unrealistic. That's the main thing. Otherwise, we give a lot of our time towards helping you find your ideal place. So we really listen, we really get your needs, your pain points, and we take all that information and we put it towards a thorough search. So we do a thorough search so that you don't have to, do the whole Yad Shtaim, Madlan, homeless rally. We do all the searching. We have actually leveraged AI to find all the listings in Tel Aviv that are relevant. We have like a system that we built to find you the listings that suit all your criteria. So we take care of that. Once we find you a place, if it's not already vetted by us, we'll do a whole vetting process that includes vetting the landlords, vetting the building, neighbors, seeing if the owners actually have the right to rent, which could
Hmm.
be a problem sometimes in, especially in Tel Aviv. And after everything is said and done and you have the keys, we help with putting the bills in your name, all the paperwork that has to be done after the fact. And then we're available for you even after. If there's anything that comes up, um,
Okay,
anything like
great.
issues with the actual apartment to issues with the landlord, so on and so forth, you have full support from us for the duration of the lease. You could always call us and say, hey, this is going on. What do we do? This isn't what we signed up for. How can we better the
Really
situation? We're here to help, or
interesting.
whatever it
All
may
right,
be.
so of course people are going to want to know what you charge.
Yeah, so we don't charge anything above and beyond the 1 month plus VAT.
Okay,
This
okay.
all started with me just being frustrated with the real estate system and how agents work. And I believe that, that's enough of a fee to justify putting in, additional work and making
So
sure that
then how are you able to do this? But it doesn't seem like anyone else is.
I think people just go with the flow in the sense that they see that the way that it's worked up until now has worked. Real estate agents make money doing what they do. I truly believe that if we do things our way and if we stick to our guns and provide this extra service, that will be the only real estate agency that Olim use within
Okay,
time.
that's great.
I
That's good.
truly
I
believe that. Right now, we're
okay.
very boutique. We're very small. We just rolled out the company officially this month,
Mhm.
even though we've been working on it for quite a while. And we're getting a lot of good attention. So I believe that that'll grow into something a lot bigger over the years, and it'll change the game for
That is
Olim.
so great. Okay, I have two more questions.
Sure.
One, how many agents do you have? Do you provide training? Are you looking to grow and be and cover different areas aside from Tel Aviv? That's a three-part question. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Again,
Well,
how many
we're
do
definitely.
you provide training, and where do you cover besides Tel Aviv?
So as it stands now, the way we're working is we have agents that we work with, essentially agents that have committed to provide the services that we offer. Um, they don't necessarily work for us like you would in an agency. They're not our agents. They're just preferred vendors, if you will. Just quality agents who committed to our mission statement, basically.
So there's
So
they're like what do you call that? Not lease.
like
They,
independent contractors.
fine, fine. Okay.
And, these are individuals that either I have worked with in the past who I thought were, fantastic, and I reached out to them. The
Nice.
ones that rise above the rest, and I
Great.
have half a dozen roughly that we're working with right now who've
Great.
committed to our standards. And we're looking to grow that. If anybody is a real estate agent that's listening right now, I'm happy to hear any anything from real estate agents that think this is a something they would want to do. We're open to hear about it.
How about people who perhaps have just finished the army and they want to get into real estate? Would you be training them? Would you consider taking on new talent and developing that talent? Because look, there is going to be a wave, I hope, but I really think so, of
Hmm.
Aliyah from English speaking countries. We're talking England, we're talking Australia, we're talking Canada, which and we're talking North America, the United States. And
Yeah,
these people really, they need guidance, they need hand holding, they need more than, I mean, half a dozen freelancers. Would you
of
consider
course.
training these young guys who are coming out of the army? Some of them are lone soldiers. Some of them speak English. Maybe they're Olim. Well, I mean, why
Yeah,
not? This is an
definitely.
industry I think that needs to grow.
It does, and it needs to grow I mean, ideally, and the way I envision it is for it to grow in the direction we're taking it, as opposed to just following the old way.
I got it.
Um,
I get that. I'm asking you.
so,
Training. Tell me.
so I could definitely, at this point, I don't have the resources to train myself, but I could definitely point them in the right direction.
Mm,
Essentially, the direction I took. I speak Hebrew quite fluently, but to take a real estate exam in Hebrew um, was, not something I thought I could do. But I found resources that helped me do it, and I could definitely make those resources available for people who want to get into it. But I'd like to move into that myself as well, and be able to offer courses and that
you
kind of thing.
should. You
Yeah,
should.
I,
There
I
there is
definitely think it's a
market
next,
for it. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. That was one question. Another
definitely a next.
question is Airbnb first are my notes here. So I have told people and advised people don't rent, don't sublease, and definitely don't buy, but you do a short-term Airbnb. And people have done that, up to, 6 months. I think you can do month to month for a long time. And
I
at the
think it's
same
a must.
time,
I
oh,
think
it's a
it's a
must.
must. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
In my opinion, I mean, you'll get a lot of different opinions on this. I think it's a must. Um, just to, if you haven't done, for example, people who are purchasing will do a pilot trip. They'll, rent an Airbnb where they want to buy just to make sure that the vibe's okay. If you're looking to come here and rent, I wouldn't rent from abroad. Also, landlords here typically want to meet the people that they're going to have renting from them. So just given all of that, I think coming, renting first, getting a feel, getting your bearings, I think that's the most ideal situation. Like,
So
don't
you're
jump
in
the gun
favor.
there.
You're in favor of the Airbnb short term.
Very much, very
Right.
much.
Um, I have a comment here. Buying a home. I am speaking with a religious family from Maryland. They are a large family of 8 children. Half are already out of the house. They want to make Aliyah, but are afraid of not being able to afford a home or pivot their careers. They have no savings. What housing advice can you provide this family?
Okay, so again, not to be a Debbie Downer on making Aliyah, but I think especially for a family, a large family, you need to have a nest egg to make the move. In the very rare case, well, not very rare, but in the case that you are working at a company like Google or Microsoft and could just transfer over your career overnight to Israel, um, I wouldn't advise making a move like that if you don't have at least a little bit of savings. I think you mentioned that in this particular scenario, they don't have money aside, right?
Right. No savings. They have no savings. They're both professional. Um, but one is a physical therapist, I think, and the other one is a social worker. Um, they've been
It'd
given the
be
advice to pivot their careers.
it's not impossible, but it would be a difficult move, I think. Doing that with no savings at all, it's a huge risk. And professionally speaking, those are professions that I think they could definitely find work in. Um, but it also depends on if they have the language, if they speak Hebrew or not. There's a lot of
Why? Why
moving.
does that? Why does that matter? Tell me why that matters so much.
Just makes it a lot easier. Even if you're working in English, a lot of jobs will want you to have at least a working understanding of Hebrew. So that's a big factor I find. Mind you, on um, the same hand, having English or another language is a huge plus coming to
Right.
Israel.
Right.
Huge plus. I mean, that's how I got by. At first when I came here, I speak English and French, and that was just a huge plus. I got a job almost instantly,
Right.
thanks to that. So it's a plus, and if you have a working understanding of Hebrew, that definitely helps.
Right.
If you don't at all, it might be a little hard getting into certain businesses.
Right. I think for all of you listening, and I just want to, real quick, if any of you have questions, we are live. Please feel free to call on our WhatsApp channel, plus 972-55-564-2978. You can also send questions to me at my email, natalie@israelnewstalkradio.com. I was just going to say one more thing about language, because this comes up all the time. Sorry, it's live if you are listening on Thursday. Again, plus 972-55-564-2978. I was going to say something about language, and I want to hear your opinion, Jeremy. You say you're fluent. You've been here 10 years, and you're working, and you're successful. Um, those of you thinking about Aliyah should start learning Hebrew immediately. All right, I want to hear what you think about that. But when you come here, and Jeremy told us having a second language, English, French, is a huge advantage. So some of
Definitely.
you, yeah, some people might think, well, I have that. I don't need Hebrew. Um, you said it is helpful. How do we, I'm saying you and I, as people living here with Hebrew, how do we, how do we convince and encourage people to really start to learn basic phrases? Because I'll tell you, I also moved here when I was very young, 21. I got jobs right away because I knew a little bit of Hebrew, and I mean a little bit. I knew
That's
how
right.
to say where I was from and where I was living, and maybe a little bit about my background. In every interview, I had three standard sentences, but it was enough. And I'm sure you
Yeah.
had your small talk also. You just need three or five sentences. And then the person feels comfortable with you. They see you make an effort. And they would always say, now I would like to, if you can help me with my English. It was so funny. And they
Yeah.
change over, right? And you get
Yeah.
your jobs using your English. People here didn't know how to type. I was a translator. I could not translate, but they didn't know that. Oh, I have a million stories. I want
Yeah.
your comments on the learning Hebrew and how we can push that and make that a priority for those, even who are thinking about Aliyah in 3 years, 5 years. Make it something they can start doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, jobs aside, I think just to assimilate properly, which is so gratifying, especially in Israel. Once you assimilate, once you, make your first few Israeli friends, like real Israeli friends who barely speak English, and you could jive with them, it's so rewarding. And just to be able to go about and do your regular everyday routine, buy things at the store, it feels really good if you speak the language. You feel
Right,
like you're a part of it all.
right,
So, and it's especially rewarding here, I believe, because for most of us, the name of the podcast is coming back home or
returning home.
returning home. I mean, we all feel
Nice that
that
you
way.
know that, but
we we all feel like we're you know coming back home and returning home when we come to Israel, even if it's for the first time. And once you get the language down, you really feel like you're home. You really feel like you
right.
have assimilated, and I think
Yeah,
that's
it's an
the
effort.
most
It's an
beautiful part.
effort. And to
It
to
is.
think that you're too old or that you can't do languages. I've heard these excuses and I'm thinking like, no, no, no. No. Try. Even, listening, trying, talking. Um you it is a very rich culture, and to be part of it, to understand the jokes and to
Yeah,
be at a Shabbat table and to hear my own children cursing each other and putting each other down, and the funny and the crazy things they use to insult each other are so funny.
so
And
funny in Hebrew.
right, like they would never ever use words like this in English. um it's a shame to not be part of that.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's there's like a camaraderie that
Yeah,
you have with people when you speak the language.
right.
It's essentially a useless barrier. If you refuse to learn the language, you're putting up a barrier that's, completely, it'll hurt you at the end of the day.
Yeah, and even take like one thing at a time. It's not like you have to be able to read the newspaper tomorrow, but one thing at a time, one little conversation, even with the woman at the checkout counter, you know, even to
Yeah.
learn to say to people, how are you? How's the weather? Um, I'm sure you're looking forward to Shabbat. Like small little things to,
Yeah. I find diving into it, like you said, having a little chat with the cashier, whatever it may
yeah,
be, diving
yeah,
into it instead of avoiding it goes a long way. You start
sure,
picking up.
sure. You start, and that's really, it's picking up, it's imitating, it's learning, it's hearing, it's opening yourself up to it. And it's something that I wish more English speaker English speakers would do. I really do.
Yeah.
Um, but I always have work to do. I will always sound like an immigrant. I will always sound like an American, and people make fun of me and they say my name funny and they imitate me at
They
the pool.
appreciate the effort too, I'm sure.
Some woman came up to me last night. There was a group, 150 people from Beersheba, from some community, and the woman said, "I in Hebrew, okay, I love your accent. אני אוהבת את המבטא שלך." And I said,
Amen.
"Why?" She's, אני אוהבת את המבטא של America. I love the American accent. It was such an insult, such a friggin' insult.
Yeah.
But they hear it. They hear it. But
Yeah. But I mean, it's also charming for a lot of people to
I
see
guess.
that you're making an effort.
Yeah, I guess. Well, thank you so much, Jeremy. Why don't you leave your website here so everyone can hear it loud and clear now, okay?
Yep, it's North Star Realty Tel Aviv.com. So North Star Realty Tel Aviv.com. And right now, we just rolled it out. So the website, we're still migrating a lot of our listings to the website. So you won't see so many listings there. You're more than welcome to use the contact us form to leave your information and just tell us a little bit about what you're looking for, and we'll help you based on that.
Thank you so much. And thank all of you for listening. To contact me, you have my details, Natalie at IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com. I believe we are out of time. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you, Jeremy.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Hey everyone! To make sure you can get access to all of our interviews, make sure to hit the subscribe button on both our YouTube and Rumble channels. Your click makes us all stronger. Thanks.